We are back, and we head north to Indianapolis. Brooks Austin. We've talked to him many times about the Dogs. He's up there covering the Combine, and he just put out a tweet yesterday saying that Mike Bobo is the offensive coordinator Kirby Smart has chosen to employ. Georgia fans, but there's a mythical being calling plays out there that has a better PR agent. I think he's better, so we should fire our guy now and hire the mythical possibility I think is better. A lot of conversation about Bobo. We had our famous caller here, Brad, unload on Bobo. I was on a radio show in Atlanta the other day. Bobo came up. I just flippantly said Kirby Smart should move on, and there has been a lot of reaction, Brooks. So obviously, you're in the Bobo camp. Give us obviously what Kirby Smart thinks is Bobo continues to remain as the offensive play caller.
Look, it's unfortunate that I've gotten pitted myself as this Bobo defender, as this guy that I guess has opinions about how good Bobo is. I just don't think he had a fireable season last year, Paul. I think there were a litany of reasons as to why Georgia didn't perform at the rate that most people expect them to, like yourself expects them to. Not last of which, but way down that line would be play calling or offensive design or anything like that. Mike Bobo has been running the last 2 years the same system schematically that Todd Monken was running at the University of Georgia during his 3 years here as offensive coordinator. So when I study the film, it's kind of what I've been known for in the space. When I study the film, I saw more execution-laden problems that led to lack of success on the offensive side of the football, far more to do with that than, hey, we're just not calling good plays. They were calling relatively similar plays as they had the last 3 years or the previous 3 years under Todd Monken. And it's also a deterioration of talent on the roster, in my opinion. If you look at that 2023 performance that they had with Mike Bobo as the first year as offensive coordinator back at the University of Georgia, I mean, but they broke the Todd Monken standard for offensive performance. They scored more points per game. They led the nation in third down efficiency in 2023. They came up short in an SEC title game and got cut out of a college football playoff. And then this year they follow it up with, a lackluster performance, particularly to start off, offensive performances to start football games. I think that criticism is warranted, but to just be up here like, hey, there's got to be somebody better out there. I just don't know if that's the case based off of what we've seen.
Well, it did seem, and I don't follow it like you do, I just kind of fly in and fly out, but the wide receiver room, for whatever reason, seemed inferior, and I don't know whose fault that is, but that seems like that was a big part of the issue. So whose fault is that?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the off-the-field concerns first and foremost. When you lose your starting two ex-receivers, Colby Young and Ra Thomas, to off-the-field concerns within the first 3 weeks of a college football season, and now all of a sudden we got to move Dylan Bell over there to X after spending the whole entire offseason getting him away from that position and getting him back into more of a versatile utility role, I think that plays a major impact. You lead the nation in drops. I think that plays an impact. Tate Ratledge goes down with an injury. Jared Wilson goes down with an injury. Ernest Green's playing with half an arm most of the season. I think that has a large, reason to do with some of the lack of performance on the offensive side of the football. So there's a litany of reasons. I do think the verifiable, at least in my opinion, criticisms for the offense at the University of Georgia, I think you can certainly get more diverse in your run game. And certainly the starts to college football games, the start of the seasons or games need to get better at the University of Georgia. But I can't tell you how many times last year, Paul, that they started games on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 with drops. And now all of a sudden we're bringing the punt unit on. And of course we're bad in the first half. We can't get offensive possessions rolling because we can't catch the football. That was a primary point of concern last year for the University of Georgia.
Talking to Brooks Austin, let's talk a little bit more about the spring, what's ahead. First, the quarterback situation. How do you break that down?
Yeah, I think it's always good for college football programs to enter the spring with the veteran guy, in that first position, right? In my opinion, in college football, your best bet is that your highly touted junior or highly touted senior that's waited his turn, like Gunnar Stockton has the ability to lose the job, if you will. So I think you go into the spring knowing that 14's your guy. And honestly, I think he played really, really well in that Notre Dame football game, considering what they asked him to do. A lot of tight window throws, against a defense from Notre Dame that plays really, really tight man-to-man coverage. Thought he performed admirably in that football game, but certainly there's a tremendous talent waiting in the wings with Ryan Puglisi. That's a 6'3", 225-pound athlete that the word that I would use to best describe Ryan Puglisi is horsepower. Okay, he can just do things physically that a lot of quarterbacks can't. It's a matter of getting him reps. It's a matter of making sure he's playing turnover-free football. He's protecting. He's seeing the field well. All those things that come with young quarterbacks that have to get onto the field to play. But I've always been under the belief that it is best that the old guy play his way into the NFL before the young guy pushes him out.
And the decision, we learned yesterday that there will be a spring game. Expound on that, because so many others are not.
Yeah, I think Georgia has made it a point to notice that, hey, some of our fans, the only football game that they're actually able to afford to get to is that spring game. They charge about, I think, $5 last year was admission price to a University of Georgia spring game, whereas I don't think you can pay less than $150 to get into the door, even when Tennessee Tech's in town. And coming up this year, man, they ain't got nothing but big-time football games at home in Athens. So I think that is a testament to Georgia's athletic administration department making it known that, hey, we're not going to take this away from some of our fans. I also think across the sport of college football, Paul, everybody's talking about protecting the roster from poaching, all that stuff. Nobody's talking about the fact that, and you know this, Paul, there's a rev share model coming down next year. So what do we do if we have a budget that's taking a dang near $21 million hit? Well, we're going to look at the things that cost us money. The spring game at a lot of these SEC programs, Paul, is a net loser and a big one in terms of the financial budget. It's a game day environment. It's a game day cost for all those guys, and they're not charging a bunch of admission for it. So if I were an athletic administrator or an athletic director, and I'm looking at the budget, I'm saying, oh my gosh, what is this big red over here that's going to cost us this? Coach, that's the spring game. Well, we might be getting rid of the spring game and blaming it on poaching, Paul.
Well, speaking of money, Georgia saved itself potentially a lot of money last night. One of the biggest basketball wins in recent history. We saw Josh Brooks, we saw Kirby Smart go all in to make sure that the students did not storm the court. By the way, I'm all for students having a good time, but it was extraordinary to see those two in the moment. This is Kirby Smart telling, first of all, I'm glad he's at the game. He's working hard, and Brooks pretty much stopped fans from going in.
Yeah, no, that's another example of athletic administration department understanding just how important the fiscal budget is, right? I think it's a $150,000 fine in the SEC. It's a six-figure fine for storming any field or any court while the opposing team is still on the playing field. So, yeah, that's not only a courtesy, a sportsmanship, if you will, from Georgia and athletic administration department there, but also a smart fiscal decision to make sure we're not out here burning a six-figure fine celebrating a win. We could celebrate it after the 90 seconds they have to walk off the court. Also, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, Paul, Kirby got out of there pretty early, too. That video that went viral is actually him as they're escorting Florida fans out. Kirby and his family actually got out of there just before the storming of the court.
I don't blame him. I might have left after they blew the lead. That's how confident I was of them coming back. Brooks, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much reporting to us live from the Combine as we take a break here. More of your phone calls straight ahead.